Hey guys, so this is the video for the Teens Plushie Ornaments that we're doing here at the library. So I'm going to show you how to make this little plushie ornament that I just made. Obviously, I did a terrible job sewing. I am not a seamstress in any way, but this is just a fun, simple way to make a cute little ornament for your tree. So let's go ahead and get to it and I'll show you how it's done. Alright, so first off, let's just go through what is actually in your kit. You have 2 of these needles, and I do apologize that this small needle is actually very tiny, and putting the thread through the eye of this is not a picnic. But you know, when you've only got a few things at Joann's that you can get, you know, you got to get what you can get. So you have an embroidery needle, and then this is for the little buttons. I found out that some of the small buttons, this needle is too big to go through, so I got this little needle in case you want to use the small buttons on your Christmas tree or something. You also have one of these. It's a threader, and I'll show you how to use this in a minute. Unfortunately, I really wanted it to work on the smaller needle, but even this thing is too big to go through that eye. But I'll show you how that thing works in a second. You're going to have a little cup with some buttons, and then in that cup you're also going to have enough ribbon to make about, I'd say probably 5 ornaments, to be honest. And then you got a small bit of the black embroidery thread so that you can maybe put a face on the snowman if you decide to do the snowman. And then you also have a full skein of either both red and white. Okay, so this here are your patterns for making your ornaments. You also have some stuffing, and you don't need a lot of stuffing for this stuff. So there should be enough stuffing material to do all 5 of the, do 4 of these, and then probably even do a 5th one if you have enough fabric left over. Let's see, what else do you have? And then of course you've got your felt. So we've got the green for the tree, we've got the red for the heart. There's enough here to do the star and the snowman. If you are really savvy about where you place your star, you can easily do the snowman and the star with the white easily. If you don't want to do a snowman, you could in fact take some of the white and make a candy cane shape, and then there should be more than enough red thread to embroider red stripes across your candy cane. So you can make a candy cane ornament if you want. So really, your imagination, go wild. You don't even have to do these. If you want to make something of your own creation, go for it. So I'm going to just do the heart today. That's an easy shape for me to do in the video. And then you can follow along. And then basically it's the same concept for the other pieces as well. One thing you do need though is your own pair of scissors, and cut out your stuff, and then we'll get to work. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the video, cut out my pattern, then I'm going to use the paper pattern to cut out from the fabric 2 pieces, and then I'm going to sew them together, okay? So I'm going to cut this stuff and I'll be right back. Okay, so remember what I was saying about if you lay your patterns just right, you can probably make multiples of your stuff. So I'm just going to give you an example. So instead of putting your heart in the center here and putting your heart in the center there and wasting all of the edge fabric, you can do this. Put your heart right about there, and then when you do the other one, you can maybe put it right here, and then you have all of this over here to do a second one. So what I recommend when you start cutting out the fabric is to use one of your needles, go through your paper, through the felt, and put it on there so that it doesn't slip around. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the heart out, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I cut out my first heart, and I still have a ton of fabric left. Now obviously he's not going to fit there, but you can move him right about there, and you still have all of that to maybe make a candy cane or even a second heart. Alright, so I have the hearts cut out. So here are both of my hearts, and as you can see, there is plenty of red felt left over to probably even do a second heart or do something else with the red felt. Do whatever you like, it's yours to keep. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some embellishments on my heart. So I was thinking about putting a button in the center, or taking some of the white embroidery thread and maybe doing another little heart on the inside or something. So I'm going to get started on that. You can do your embellishments to both sides if you want. It's totally fine. I'm just going to do it to one. So I'm going to grab a button. So I've got a cute little pink button right there. So maybe that's what I will use in my heart. And you don't have to put a button on your heart if you don't want to. Here's another little pink button. But yeah, you can use these for ornaments on your Christmas tree ornaments. So if you wanted to sew some buttons onto your tree to make it look like the tree has some Christmas ornaments on it, that's what the buttons are for. And because I just want it to stand out, I'm probably going to use the white thread. And I might even use the white thread to go around the heart, because it'll make it stand out more when it's hung onto your Christmas tree. So I'm going to just grab a little bit of the red. Now I suggest when you guys unravel your red, you do it really carefully so that you don't end up tangling it all up, because embroidery thread is no picnic to unravel when it gets tangled. So right now I'm just looking for the end. Maybe, if I can find it. There it is. So there's an end. Okay. So I'm just going to grab a little bit so that I can do the little button. And maybe some kind of a design. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of the white. And I'll make sure that my needle goes through this buttonhole before I start. Now you can see this one doesn't, so I am going to try to use the tiny needle. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm actually going to unravel this even further and take a little bit of this. You can see what I'm doing is there's about 6 strands that hold embroidery thread together, and if you're careful you can take it apart, and that's what I'm doing right now. Is just very carefully taking it apart so that it doesn't tangle. And that is how we are going to use the embroidery thread in that tiny, tiny needle. So the best way to thread this little needle is to get the end a little wet with your fingers, twist it nice and tight, and give it a cut so that you don't have any frayed ends that are keeping you from getting it through the eye of that needle. Alright, so let's go ahead. I'm going to make a knot, and the way that I usually do it is I wrap the thread around my index finger a couple of times, not too tight, and then as I'm taking it off, I'm using my thumb to roll it on my finger, and then I pull, and then that makes a quick knot. So let's go ahead and put on the button. my button is very secure right now. It's a little off center, but that's okay. And I'm just going to very carefully make a good knot. And the way I'm doing this knot is I'm threading it back through and then just sort of making a little knot that way. So thread it through and then put it back through its own little loop. And then I'm just making my knot. Now, one little fun trick you can do, and if you have some there, if you got a little bit of glue while you're making these little knots in the back so that they're nice and secure, once you've made your knots, you can always add a teeny tiny little drop of glue right there on the threads and they won't come out. So let's just cut that. All right, so there I've got my little button on my heart. And so what I'm going to do now is fix that because it's not quite right and it's sort of bugging me a little bit. There we go. Okay. So this was one of the bigger pieces when we first took this strand apart. So this is like half of a strand. And I'm going to get my big needle, and this is where these come in. You put the little blue plastic thing, you put it through the eye of your needle, like that. Then you take your thread and put it through the hoop of the blue plastic thing. All right? And then you like take it halfway through. And then what you do is you pull the plastic thing through your needle, and now your needle is now threaded. So for anyone who hates threading needles, myself included, these little blue plastic things are pretty cool. But they still don't fit through the small needle that you need for the smaller buttons. If you're going to use the bigger buttons, go with the bigger needle. You'll be much happier. Alright, so like I did before, I'm going to wrap this around my finger a couple times, and then I am going to use my thumb and twist it, and then pull, and there is a decent knot. Okay. So I'm trying to decide what kind of shape I want to put on here. And I'm just trying to get this needle kind of through where I want it. There we go. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to embroider a simple shape by going in and out. So let's go this way. And then take the needle back through very close to where you left off. All right. All right. And then we're going to go up here. Alright, so now I've got just a little heart in there, something simple. And just like last time, we need to tie this off. So I'm going to go through these and then take the needle back to this loop to make a knot, and then I'm going to do it one more time. Okay. There we go. So there we go. So I got a little heart inside my heart, and then we're going to take the back piece. Now if you want to go ahead and put something on the back piece, you can go ahead and do that. I'm not going to do that just because of time. So what I'm doing is I'm going to put these together, and I think I might grab my small needle, and I'm going to actually use it to hold my front and back together while I sew around. So I'm just going to take my small needle somewhere in the center and just do that, and that will hold these two together while I go around the outside. So since I have white on the inside, I'm going to use the red, and the red is slightly lighter, so that'll help make your heart stand out. So I'm just going to do what I did before with the white, is I'm going to very carefully open this up like that, and then I'm just going to take some of the red, enough that I can go around the outside. And so you've got plenty of thread left over. I think these are about 10 feet long, maybe longer than that. And this is more than enough thread to go around the heart. So I'm going to take my little blue plastic thingy and put it back through the eye. And then, oops, there we go. And then use that to thread my needle. It's so much easier. Okay. Oops. Oh, there we go. There's a needle. A knot. Let's do one more time. There we go. Okay, so in order to hide this knot when you first start sewing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these apart just like that, and I'm going to put my needle on the inside when I start sewing. So that way the knot will be hidden on the inside instead of the outside. So I have, my knot is right here on the inside, and I'm just going to hide it. And this is just a simple way to close this thing up. It's just going around the outside. So basically, I'm just going to be doing that all the way around. So basically, front to back, all the way around the heart until I get to about there. What I'm going to do when I get to here is I'm going to grab my ribbon so that I can sew the ribbon inside the heart and make a loop so that I can hang it from my tree. And you also want to leave a small space so that you can stuff it. Okay, so when you get to about that point, so I left the top part open so that I can get my stuffing in there. So go ahead and take out your little needle, because you don't need it anymore. And I left a small opening. So leave your needle on your ornament, grab a little bit of your stuffing, and then put it inside the opening as best you can. Okay. Now see what I mean, where it doesn't take a lot to stuff these things? If you look at that heart now is like totally stuffed, and all I did was grab a small pinch of that material. In fact, I think I'm going to take some out. Okay, so the heart is all nice and stuffed. I'm going to grab a little bit of my ribbon. Okay. I'm going to take my ribbon and I'm going to tie it in a knot on one end. Okay. Just like that. Just a simple knot, that's all you need. Okay. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it inside the heart. So the knot part. Putting it in here. And then I'm going to close around it. So while trying to pinch everything together, keep sewing around. Try to avoid the ribbon as best you can. Now when you get closer to that green ribbon, I definitely would suggest trying to get the needle to go through that ribbon at least once, so that you know that that green ribbon is not going to come out. So that's what I'm going to do with this go. So I'm going to put it through the needle or through the ribbon, and I think that did it. And I'm going to do it one more time, just so that I know that that thing is secured in there. Okay, now in order to hide the last little knot in my ornament, I am going to make the knot inside. Okay. So in order to hide that knot that I just made, I'm going to go in between the two pieces of felt all the way through my ornament. I'm going to pull the needle out right here. And what that's going to do is it's going to pull that knot that I made on the inside. In theory, if it gets in there, get in there. There it goes. Okay, so the knot is on the inside. Alright, and it's nice and hidden. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the thread right here. And then I'm going to pull that little excess back through. And so now it's completely gone. Okay, so for what it's worth, there's my little ornament, my little heart. Obviously, I am not a seamstress, and seamstresses all over the world seeing this video will be kind of like, she's doing everything wrong. But anyway, that is my little heart ornament. You can basically use the same techniques I did to make all of the other ones. You can use the leftover fabrics to make either another set, or you can use the red and white, make a candy cane. It's all up to you what you want to do with everything that's in this kit. Everything in the kit is yours to keep. So enjoy, have fun, and have a good Christmas. All right, bye guys.